Hello, welcome to Inside Out with myself, Junior Badila. On today, we're talking about Goma in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. We've been following the news of what happened in Eastern or Africa, particularly in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Goma, the capital of North Kivu in Eastern DRC, is facing humanitarian crisis after being captured last week by the Rwandan-backed rebel group M23. I'm joined live in the studio here today with Dr. Mo. Dr. Mo Muhammad Amiso is a Nigerian, UK-based Nigerian political analyst, and with Sanu Lupata, who is African political strategist, is a lobbyist for Great Lakes in Africa. Great Lakes is mostly eastern part of Africa. Online on the phone with us is Philip Shamamba, our regular contributor. Philip Shamamba is an African political analyst and is a member of UK Africa Diaspora Forum Group. Altogether today here, we're going to discuss the situation, what's happening currently in eastern part of Congo in Goma. Goma is a city of nearly 2 million people, according to the UN figures that we followed, we listened this week. Baba, before we start, we're going to listen to Sam. Sam is his name is anonymous, so we would like to keep his name anonymous because of the security reason on the ground. Sam is one of our contributor, is our regular contributor since that crisis. Since that crisis have started in eastern part of Congo. He couldn't join us because of the internet is lagging in eastern part of Congo, particularly in Goma. There is shortcut of electricity, so Sam is hiding himself. He need to spin around to charge his phone. That's the current situation. We're gonna listen to Sam before we discuss the situation on the ground. But Sam is now currently, we see the technical side to give us few details. But Dr. Mo, you from Nigeria yourself, you well informed of African issues, African affairs, and we followed the news that Nigerian Foreign Affairs discussed Congo's issue with his counterpart from Rwanda. Currently, that is the current news in Africa. What your view? What your thought with regard to the current crisis in the eastern part of DRC?
Thank you, Gino Badela. Viewers, thank you for being with us. It's sad, it's quite unfortunate what is unraveling in Goma, the east part of DRC. Right now, there is a humanitarian crisis, it's a big catastrophe, and generally, I think it is a diplomatic failure from the African side, both the East African and Southern Africa, and generally AU. I think they have been doing a horrible job. To borrow the current president of America, what Trump, they should all be sacked. The whole AU are, virtually, I'm sorry, they are useless. They have been betraying Africa. They failed in pursuing diplomatic solution for things. These things in Congo have been going on and on. It's like they don't just know what they are doing. How can a crisis exist for over 30 years? And then every time there is a crisis, we have to start running to EU, to UN. Do we not have the capacity to think, or should we just accept the racist view that Africans are dumb and stupid? If that's the case, let's just surrender and say, yeah, we surrender. We are just, naturally, we have inferior intellect. But I don't believe I have inferior intellect. I believe the people in the capacity to do something are just daft. They don't have people interest at heart. It makes my heart bleed to see people, women, children, been moved. People have been displaced. You know, this humanitarian catastrophe. And who do you want to come and help you? The only thing we know is like you just see them flying to Brussels, flying to New York. Can you not solve your own problem? All the people, maybe just the few mercenaries that were got from Romania, but all the actors are black people, they are Africans. So we should solve our problem, and it has solution. With regard to Nigeria, I think from my fair assessment, Rwanda are more aggressive in pursuing their own interests. I believe honestly the Congolese, the government and the people are not doing enough.
You mean aggressive in terms of military and diplomatic?
All in the whole context,
aspects.
They are pursuing this war and the issue more aggressively. They are pushing their agenda, and I think they are doing it far better. It doesn't mean I agree or disagree with them, but the way I see it, the Rwandans, and generally I also believe their president, Paul Kagame, is one of the, if not the most sophisticated president we have in Africa, if you know his history. So no wonder the way they are doing. Two, I think there have been a crisis in Congo for a long time. So that has virtually helped in making the government weak. So you don't have strong government institutions because of the instability, which have, like paralyzed government. Because as I heard, and you can help in clearing this, there is less visibility of government and institutions in Goma, which helped the rebels capture it, than like in Kinshasa, because most people are saying the presence of government, people see more visible government in Kinshasa and suburb than in the eastern region. And this has to do with the long history of instability that bedevil Congo. But I still honestly believe Congo has been a thorn in African flesh, and it's definitely a shame that Africans cannot come and rescue Congo. Congo is, the way I see Congo, is the heart of Africa.
Definitely.
And I feel this as a Nigerian, it affects me, and I want to see Africans come together from the failed and, clueless AU to all other countries should come together and find a way to solve this issue.
Thank you, Dr. Mo. According to, as you mentioned, humanitarian crisis, according to the recent UN figure, there was about 500, thousands of civilians who flee around Goma. I mean, they try to flee themselves around Bukavu, where our contributor is currently. That top up already the number of millions of refugees who, as you said, the conflict has been going on for 30 years. And M23 occupied Goma already in 2012. So there was a number of refugee displaced people who already 10 years ago, 13 years ago, they ran away from Goma. And now the number has been going on increasing. Before we bring Sano into the conversation, let's listen to Sam, who is on the ground. He was in Goma, but he moved to Bukavu for security reasons. He's one of our contributors. He managed to send us audio. We're going to listen to it, then we'll come back.
Right now, the AFC M23 soldiers coming from Rwanda have the entire control on Goma, killing person here and there. And those who remain are living in total insecurity. And all of that produces so many refugees due to the population displacement. Unfortunately, according to some persons living in our villages here in South Kivu, the AFC M23 soldiers have been sighted in some of our villages, not far from Bukavu. And they were welcomed by those poor and frightened villagers, afraid to die, afraid to be slaughtered. So, the turn taken by this war brings us to a conclusion the Kivu region is not safe anymore, and we're all living in total insecurity. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Sam. Is currently in Bukavu. Bukavu is the largest city in South Kivu. So Kivu in South is divided by North and South. North, the largest city is Goma, where the conflict is running is currently, and the Bukavu is the South. It is about in an hour drive by car. So it is closer to Goma, and most people they flee in Bukavu. Samuel Pata, I know Dr. Mo said that this is the failure of African Union because we still relying on international intervention when the crisis is happening, and currently is happening in Congo. Nothing has been done, and I think we listened to the press briefing of Donald Trump, American president. There was even a question to ask about Congo, about Rwanda. He even mentioned that anything about Rwanda is a serious issue. He didn't want to discuss it in a public place. But there was a statement by the UK government inviting Rwanda to withdraw its troops from Congo soil. What's your view on that?
Thank you very much, Richard, Junior, for this opportunity. But before I go on, answering your question, I would like to really reach out to all the Congolese people who are in distress right now. The humanitarian crisis, that they are subject to in 21st century is something that we should all refuse it, and it shouldn't be happening. And those who are responsible should be held accountable. And obviously, at the moment, we know very well that this issue does not start today. So, the answer to your question in terms of Africans know about this, this conflict, which came from the Rwandan, what they call genocide, so which had only 800 millions, of which right now, as an African, we should have really put a stop to it. Saying that we don't have to wait until the Westerns tell us what to do or sympathize with us. I believe the Africans and the leaders that send the African representative to the EU should have sat down and really refuse it to happen in an African soil, not to talk about the heart of Africa. I can agree it's a Congolese issue, but it is also an African issue. But the African Union has one problem, which is the finance. Who finances something will have a control of it. Whoever is putting money into it. So the Americans, obviously the Americans will not support anything of such now that Trump is there. But Europeans they are the financier of EU. So they have a say into all the diplomats that sit down, in representing us as Africans. The African Union was a good idea, but apart from just having a good idea, we Africans who are representing Africans in the EU should have thought of the ways that we should have stopped this war. It has been going on for 30 years. Enough is enough. It falls down to our responsibility as Africans. Not because people gives you money, not because people give you sympathy, not because people do that and then they start directing you into killing and letting your people like that in distress. This is something that I am really calling out to our African brothers. It might not happen to your soil, but it can soon degenerate to any other part of the world. So Congo, I remind all your listeners, it is bordered by 9 countries. So we live peacefully. And I can say we have borders with Gabon, we have border, with Zambia in the south, and we have border even, with the other Congo Brazzaville. So looking at it, we live peacefully. And if I can really send us back into the cause of this issue, it was the genocide that started. And when the genocide started, Africans should have said no is no 800. Now we are running into 6 millions of people, if more, that are already dead for this war. So Africans have responsibility. That's the first. And then bringing it back to the region, which is the Lake region, of which I have campaigned for, and UK played quite a very good part. And just joining this comment that you say that the Foreign Secretary has commented on it, we welcome it, but it's not going far enough, because this great region has a lot of funding. Again, money. When you say funding, they funded. UK has funded a lot of money into the Great Lake region for 30 years, but the money has not gone to the Congolese. It has not gone to the Rwanda that are suffering, because that's the reality. It's gone to the people who put it into their pocket. But in terms of the region, the money has not gone directly to the Congo, which is the suffering people who have been suffering for 30 years. It's gone to other countries. Example, Uganda and Rwanda's that have profited from all the funding that the UK and the European has put into the Great Lake region. So we have to look at that. That's why this maybe has generated this issue where the Congolese wants to defend their own territory. They want to defend their own sovereignty and take control of their own minerals, because the money that the Americans or the European will invest, or the UK will invest to go to the Great region, has not gone to the people, has not gone to Congolese. And the exchange of minerals has profited those surrounding countries.
But some people I do hear what you're saying, but some commentators are saying that this is happening partially because of the lack of good governance in Congo, that will the outcome of the current situation.
And to be honest, Junior, while I agree, I can see where people are coming from. I don't totally disagree, but I will really highlight one or two issues that I have with. When we're saying the money that is being financed to the region, that means Africans can shut up. That's one problem. And secondly, that the governments, and I can tell you, I really look at it a different way. These things are already a planned war, a crisis, because in Goma or in the region, Kivu region, the facility, even health, is arranged and organized by the foreigners. If you look at so basically charities are running towns like Goma. So it's not something for 30 odd years.
So the
charities, everything is planned and premeditated. Because right now people will shout about lack of facilities, health facility, all that. It's a charity, most of them charity. And even to worsen the thing in terms of humanitarian issue, we have UN. And what is the UN have played in protection of the people?
Their own interest.
So those are the things. So it's already those are the things that charities are there. It's not the government has had any say, because that's why I say the money and the funding should be going to the government, and whereby they can work with other charity and other organizations. But no, those organizations, especially Westerners, and every of those who are on the ground, they run it by themselves. And then that's what the problem is.
Thank you, Sano. On the telephone with us, Philip Shamamba. Philip, we hear what Sam said on the ground. The humanitarian situation is really chaotic. Now, M23, backed by Rwanda, is controlling Goma. What is the real agenda of AF? I think is the coalition of M23 and AFDC. AFDC is political branch of M23, because M23 is a military group. So what is the real agenda behind after capturing Goma?
Oh, thank you for. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to express my condolences to all the families who have lost their loved ones, who have lost them. This conflict has lasted, now it's about 30 years since it started. And more than this might be the deadliest conflict is ever in the world, because we have lost almost 10 to 12 million people in this conflict that has lasted 20 or 30 years. So my heart go to all the families who have lost their loved ones. And I really hope this conflict ends very soon. As you can see, we're talking about AFC, M23. Uh, People don't really know exactly what is AFC, what is M23, how did it start, as you asked for the agenda. It's good to understand who are they, what do they want. I'll come to what my brother Samo said earlier. This goes way back to Rwandan genocide. And, after the Rwandan genocide, the FDLR, whatever, because they were divided, Hutu and Tutsis, and the Hutus fled to Congo. Congo did not want them in there, but international community forced Congo to have them in the Congo. And at the time, Mobutu, who was the president of Zaire at the time, was becoming weak. And Congo backed, Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi backed the movement that was created there in Rwanda, which toppled Mobutu from power, and they took over. And we saw some Rwandan people becoming like chief of army staff. James Kabarebe, who was it's the only man in the world to be chief of army staff in Rwanda, in Congo, in Zaire at the time, and Rwanda. I don't know if anyone else in this planet has been chief of staff in two countries. He was the only guy who was there. So that showed that there was a lot of Rwandan involvement at the time. And then Mzee Laurent Desire Kabila, who was the president, asked Rwanda to leave. When they left, then there's this group called RCD was created, and then came back. There was war. Congo was divided into three. And then when Mzee Laurent Desire Kabila was killed by assassination, up to now, they don't exactly who killed him, but it was killed. These people were after him. And then there was a peace process. In that peace process, there was a DDDA where we saw soldiers from RCD back by Rwanda took army. Then it was all like jumbled up. So it was a very complex situation. And then from RCD there was a group called CNDP that came. I know people heard of name Kunda Batware, who was the boss of CNDP. And then after CNDP, M23 came through CNDP. CNDP that came through RCD. So many. That's the historic side of it. It's a very long story. If you say we have to explain everything, it will take longer. I don't think we have time. At least that's the background of it. After taking Goma, as I heard, they are saying the aim is to go to Kinshasa, which is the capital city, which is the headquarters of the government. So whoever has Kinshasa has also the whole Congo. This is the agenda now, as you asked, Junior. That's why I can answer your question now.
Thank you. Dr. Mo, you mentioned there were some failures from within the AUE, African Union, within Africa. This conflict is supposed to be resolved or discussed within African context. But yesterday, SADC, SADC, which is Southern African Development for Cooperation, met yesterday. President Ramaphosa for South Africa went to Harare. They discussed Congo's conflict, and the statement was made yesterday as Rwanda have to pull up its troop, and both Rwanda and Congo have to back onto discussion. That what called Luanda Agreement. Luanda is the discussion between two countries. That's they call it Luanda Accord. Is the discussion between two countries, Rwanda and DRC. There was another last week. There were two meetings from UN Nations Security Council. Two resolutions were made, still inviting Rwanda to withdraw its troops from Congo. EU meeting yesterday as well. They made the same statement like Rwanda is violating Congo sovereignty. Do you think those avalanche of condemnation are just rhetoric? They know really directly effective.
Oh, well, definitely they are not. I think not only statement, Genio, even laws that are made by government and international bodies, they are as effective as their enforcement are. So virtually laws are useless without enforcement. So you can not mention even statement. So they can mention and they can issue statement as much as they can, but once the actors on the ground are very much aware they don't have the capacity to enforce those statements, then nothing will change. And like I said, that also applies to law. If laws are made and there is no enforcement, then they are useless.
Definitely.
So, and two, I think this thing has to go beyond SADC. I watch, I listen. In fact, even the SADC is divided. Kagame is accusing Ramaphosa. There is a clear division. And the thing can even escalate because some South Africans troops have been injured, some have been killed.
13 together have been killed.
So the way I see it, and going back to the root of this whole issue, the whole of that region has been engulfed in crisis because, like the last presenter spoke, if you trace the genesis, it's too complicated. See, the issue of Congo and the crisis in Congo is, I think, as complex as the country Congo it is. Because there have been too many, understanding the issues is big. I don't know whatever, but still going by the founding fathers, I think one of your, I don't know if I can call him a leader, but ruler, Mobutu, you are still partly inheriting his sins because he was one of the, according to my belief, biggest African traitor in history. So he messed Congo up because his intervention in Uganda, Rwanda now are backfiring. If you look at the link, Mobutu partly contributed to the war in Rwanda. And then overthrowing from Idi Amin to his successor to this current president, these were all rebels backed this. That region has been a mess for a long time. Paul Kagame was a rebel leader himself. When they come and overthrow the other government and took over power, they were backed by other, especially Uganda. So the whole axis, then Uganda and Rwanda team up to back Joseph Kabila to overthrow
Laurent Kabila.
Laurent Kabila, and Burundi is the whole region is a mess. If you go back and trace the history, and this you are dealing with people that were rebel leaders. Come on, like they hold guns, weapons, they fight war. That's why I said earlier, and I don't think I'm joking. Paul Kagame, and they need to be very careful and smart in dealing with Paul Kagame. This guy fought a war, was a rebel leader, overthrew a government, took over power. You know, they know all these bloody kind of dirty tricks. And he has been there for years. He is sophisticated, was trained in different countries, you know. Like you said, let me add you, the last speaker said Kabari. But he don't know the history of Paul Kagame. He was a military leader in Uganda, a senior official. The whole region is a mess. And it has a root. And I will repeat it. One of the greatest traitor, I don't know some Congolese like him or not, but Mobutu create this mess because he was also doing to other countries exactly what M23 were doing. He was backing rebels and regime change. And the thing is now backfiring. And I think we need stability. And to your question, that's why I think the only thing that can stabilize that region is AU. And to some extent, no matter what, if the global community are interested, but it seems to me Africa is always last when it comes to intervention. So that's why, and I don't see any reason why I have to go to somebody to solve my problem. I should clean my house. AU need to come together and be strategic and call this, there are strong leaders. Call them and sit down and resolve this thing. That's why, like you mentioned, and I said, Angola have been Rwanda are more aggressive. And yeah, I remember Even Angola was part of the Axis when they were fighting their own.
Yep.
So all this were backed by this, by that, this government, and that's exactly what is happening in Congo. Is not new. It happened to Rwanda. That's how they overthrow. It was backed by, Uganda. Uganda were backed by Rwanda, and this AU, the failed AU, has to wake up. They are deep in their slumber. I think they are nearly dead, but we can resurrect them by sacking the existing and bringing fresh, young mind, real people who cares about Africa to sit together, because I honestly believe that region issue is beyond the regional bloc.
Definitely.
Even the regional, a lot of, take ECOWAS now, we're in crisis. They lost more than half of its landmass. Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso left. Africa is in crisis. As we speak now, there is war in Sudan. The war in Somalia is nearly as old as the war in Congo. The whole continent is virtually in crisis. And that's why I will repeat, the huge failure AU need to wake up. And like Sama said, I think because they are controlled, because if definitely their budget is coming from EU, it's a fact. They say he who pays the piper dictate the tone. So they need to wake up and take responsibility, including financing their deal. I agree with Donald Trump in this. I will say God bless him. He should support to Africa. Everything, so stop everything. Even the EU should stop. If they will come up with a solution for themselves, that's better. You cannot, 2025, you are still waiting. Like I was imagining when someone was mentioning, I say, how? Congo receiving financial aid from EU instead of Congo to give EU financial support.
That's a good question. Do you, Sano, do you want to
Yes,
align with?
Yeah, I'd like to align with my brother Mo, and also point out the things that need to be pointed out. First and foremost, we as Africans, we have a responsibility that we should not let Paul Kagame bring us back to the past. Because we are in 21st century. Africans are more awakened, and we see what's happening in Western Africa. You see how they've taken all our colonial master. They see how, engaged the younger generations are. And if you look at what Kagame is doing right now, he's bringing us from the past. Well, you might hate Mobutu. You might not like what he did with the other country, but exactly what Kagame is doing. So in few years' time, they will have problems with Congolese, because Congolese will not forever be generous, because we open our border because our brothers and sisters were dying from the other country.
Which will be a circle of crisis.
Yeah, exactly. This is why I'm pointing it back to 1994. Yes, the EU, the Americans may have had their plan to have access to the great vast minerals that were in Congo where Mobutu was in power. Yes, they helped Kagame to get there, but Kagame has lost his brothers in total were 800,000 million that the world that is still shouting about. But he has already killed more than 12 million Congolese. So Congolese will not, after opening their door in 1994, allow him to do that for 30 years and add another year. It is not going to happen. So
what you're saying is, despite the weakness of governance in Congo, does not justify Rwanda to violate Congo's sovereignty.
Exactly, because we have played our generosity in helping our Hutu and our Tutsi brothers in 1994. We opened the door. We were asked by the same EU. We were asked by the same people who support us, who support the EU from financially. So we opened our door, and Congolese people are peaceful people, and they live with 9 mothers. The problem does not always have to come from Rwanda border. So we live with other ethnical and other country. We have 9 mothers, and I remind you of your listener. So Kagame has to stop the war, withdraw his soldiers, because they are the soldiers that RDF, that they are just trying to put the name there saying they're Congolese. I was in Congo in 1994. And I was in Congo when the first war broke up. And I know for sure that it is one thing that we need to call Kagame, that this one cannot, we have to call out on what Kagame is doing. It cannot continue to kill Congolese people in hiding under the Tutsi minority crisis. That's not the crisis. Another thing that I want to ask as well. This war, I want to remind the viewer, this war has happened exactly what happened 30 years ago. It broke out, and we have other African countries coming to help us. We have South Africa, we have Angola. So basically, this war is about to really break out.
I remember it was called the African First World War,
which would
because it was about between 5 and 7 countries fought in Congo.
And so Africans are about to be divided again, because we call out on Angola, Malawi, South Africa to help us to face our northern countries, other brothers of ours, which is Kenya, Uganda, Rwandans. They have their own interests. And then this is what I am calling out to all our brothers in African region. And my thought goes as well, because I travel mostly in Congo, and for more Congolese, they will agree. When we have this catastrophe, we have this humanitarians. It's not just the Congolese that are just losing their life, but there is a lot of Africans who visit Congo, who are in cities like Goma, who are now, we have other brothers who are from other African countries who are dying. And we have a lot of foreigners in Southern Africa, southern country, which is Lubumbashi. So Congolese host a lot of people from European, from African. So this war, it is everyone else that is concerned. And we need to just remind Kagame one more thing. This is enough. Enough is enough. He needs to pull back his troops, and whoever is supporting Kagame for minerals can get access mineral to the Congolese. The governments are there established. We can do it properly and then stop all those bloodbath for no reason.
Thank you, Sano. You're talking with passion. No worries about Congo. We host several Congolese here. So Congolese issue with regard to that crisis is really a hot topic currently in Congo. Philippe himself is Congolese, is a political analyst, is a member of UK Diaspora Forum Group. Philippe, a regular contributor on Inside Out here. Philippe, do you think that Congolese I think governor or the previous, since for the past 30 years, as mentioned, highlight both Dr. Mo and Sano, that 30 years of conflict. So do you think Congolese elite never learned from this conflict? For the past 30 years, what has been put in place as a strategy, a contingent strategies to resolve this conflict, this ongoing crisis?
Well, let me just point out this. The UN report, which is accusing Rwanda, it does not only accuse Rwanda, there's also Uganda, according to this report, that they are doing as bad as Rwanda is doing. So we are concentrating more on Rwanda and forgetting to mention also Uganda, because they have been accused as bad as Rwanda. But the only thing is, somehow Uganda is also our ally in the Congo. So like Brother Mo say, the situation is very complicated and is quite complex. It's quite hard to understand what is happening. And talking about if different governments haven't learned, I think if you don't learn something for 30 years, that you will never learn, because we have seen Congolese politicians keep going to the people they are accusing of committing crimes. The same actors, they've been there since 1994, which is 30 years ago. You will see the same people are still now. They've been generals, they've been ministers, they've been member of parliament. They all keep coming back. And these are the same people that you can find them in UN reports of committing crimes. The same people you find they have small faction of rebels here and there. So we need somehow to clean this mess. because this is very messy. Dr. Mukwege was fighting for this report, which is called. Can you help me there, Virginia? What is the mapping report that Dr. Mukwege is? The name of all these people who have contributed in the past for all the genocide. Well, let's call it genocide, even though it's not been officially named genocide in the Congo. But for me, I think losing 12 million people for being Congolese or for being what they are, for the wealth, I think it's genocide. So we will need to fight hard to get this name done. So, like I said, to learn from this, whoever government will come, we need to make sure these people who are involved in crimes, people who have been accused of doing this, people who have small rebel factions, generals in the army who have been accused, just to make sure they don't come back, see what we can do. Because as long as we keep compensating them, giving them more power, more money, keep bringing them to the army, I think this will never end. There is a lesson to learn. These guys keep doing the same thing, keep doing this, keep doing that. I think this will keep coming back. So we need a new kind of governance, which I don't think that you said they ever learned. New kind of governance. We need a very strong power in the Kinshasa, in Congo, that will be able to tidy up all this mess. Otherwise, the same thing will keep coming back. If you don't learn from history, the history is going to repeat itself.
Okay.
That's
Thank you, Phil. Now we're rounding up. Now we are remaining with a couple of minutes to finish our show. Dr. Mo, I think both of you, your political strategies. Any advice now? We've seen Mrs. Kaikwamba Wagner, who is Congolese Foreign Affairs Minister. She was a guest on AUK radio when she visited UK here. She spoke eloquently. It was in the UN Nations Security Council. She explored the current issues. What you advise as a political African political strategist with regard to, because you mentioned the failure in both in terms of security, defense, army, and even diplomatic aspect. So what are your advices?
Well, one of my advice first to the Congolese government is, as we speak now, and the people, the first thing they have to ensure and make sure it's remain there is a stable government. They should not give any window for instability, because as we speak, as the rebels are advancing, if you have any crack in the government, political instability is like a huge opening for them. So they need to make sure there is stability in the government and efficiency. Two, they need to be more, let me use it because it's a war, they need to be more aggressive, especially diplomatically. I want to strongly advise them, because already Goma is part of Congo. They need to make sure the war ends. First, they need to negotiate immediate ceasefire, because they are fighting a war in your country. Whatever happens, you will not win. It's in Congo. So they need to push aggressively, and especially the honorable minister, she need to, this is like a big test. That's where they test her competency. She need to immediately push for a ceasefire first. The war should freeze. Another thing is, because if this thing continue, it has the tendency to engulf the whole region. Two, as we are seeing, other wars appears to be coming to an end, Ukraine and Palestine. If they are not lucky, Congo will be the new war ground. And this big global, war machineries, Congo will become a testing ground for new weapons and things like that. So totally the issue should be, war should stop and must stop. And they are diplomat, I don't know, whatever. You need to go and talk to M23 and not Mugabe, Rwanda, Paul Kagame. Even Uganda, your aim is not, I negotiate with this. Your aim is stop the war.
So negotiation is the key. So
Open diplomatic channels
to end the war.
There is one thing to wrap up. The Congolese insisting, especially Tshisekedi, the president, they will not talk to M23. Come on, you should pass that level. Diplomacy, talk to even devil. They already capture a land
on the ground.
We don't need to deceive ourselves. This is reality. Talk to them directly, indirectly, but the thing is freeze the war as soon as you can.
Thank you. Freeze the war as soon as you can. Sano,
Yes.
what's your intake?
Yeah, I kind of slightly disagree because, as I said, in 1994 we opened the door, so our generosity is really causing us pain. This humanitarian issue is alarming because it started and is repeated itself. It started by bombing the refugee camp, because when they bomb a refugee camp, they literally cause people to flee south while they gain ground. That's the strategy. And right now, I'm calling on all the Congolese people to be vigilant, because the whole idea is not the war that we see. It is not what we see that we have to look at right now. Our brothers and sisters are suffering. They are being killed. Women are being raped. It's an humanitarian crisis. So it does involve all Africans. As I said, we will not stop the war at all costs, because we Congolese have already paid a lot of prices. A lot of our brothers, from 8 million that happened in the genocide that people are talking about, but we are counting about 12 million, deaths. So if no one comes and help us, we will help ourselves. So I call on community in Congolese community in the UK. I call on my brothers who are in Goma. Don't despair. Don't lose hope. The fight, it is, the truth is on your side. And the fight is yours. Before we receive any help from any foreign country or brothers around the region, we have to know that this is our war and we are willing to engage into it, and we will put every energy, effort. We cannot have a repeat of 30 years after we have been generous to our brothers and sisters in the region. And one more, I want to remind my brothers that those who are in Goma know this war very well, and they know that the enemy is not interested in every living soul that it is in Goma. They are interested in the minerals that they will sell to the Europeans and to America. I am an engineer and I work with the precious minerals, and I know that the previous president that shut one industry. There's one industry that Congolese have that can shut, and the whole world will not get supply. We tried it. The former president tried it. And then every one of them came bowing down. And they don't want to bow down. They want to have what they believe is theirs, and they will use every means, they will use every leader. Even Paul Kagame will come and go. But the Rwandans will suffer, because as my brother said it, whatever they're investing on now, they will pay for it. Just like if we are paying what Mobutu have done, they will not get away with it. And that's the message. But to round it up, I'm going to call on all Congolese community in the UK. UK invests quite a lot of money in the DRC, and they are supporting as well Rwanda. We know that. But what we are asking the UK, and we call the Foreign Secretary as well, who have made a very good statement. But the statement is not enough. Kagame is taking us back to years of Mobutu. But we believe that as Africans, we can live together peacefully. We can have those minerals shared with our brothers in the more respectable way. Our sovereignty must not be exchanged for our own generosity. And then also, we call on Paul Kagame that he will have to this time, because I was in Kinshasa when he invaded Kinshasa. He has taken Goma before. He has taken it again in 2012, and he will take the whole Congo again if he wishes to. But this time, we will not live under his rule. We will not be killed, and our women will not be raped, and our children will not be enrolled in the army. And that one I can assure you, Congolese botelema.
But,
Okay, thank you. Let's round up because we run out of the time. Just Philip, before you intervene.
respond to what Sanu say, which is really good. Like to make it in context, Philip will talk. You see what I was trying to say. Like he said now, Kagame, it's good to understand the genealogy and history
Of
the
the crisis,
complexity
yeah.
of a crisis before you be able to resolve it. And for me, my focus is freeze the war, stop the war. The issue of opening door to Rwandese, it does happen, but it's beyond that because M23, a lot of their leadership, they fought for Kabila helping overthrow, like Philip said, a Rwandese become a head of Congo army. How did that happen? You can't remove that from this thing. So already, that's what I'm saying. You need to know that this thing has been too complicated, that you need to first freeze it and go on and do it. And I love your last argument, which I still will hope if somebody can tell Paul Kagame, like they used to say, the law of karma, what you do can also come back and hurt you. Congolese help Rwandese in accepting refugees,
which were both Hutu and Tutsi. They were not just...
despite the fact that Uganda tried to get rid of them by, pushing them, so they should pay back kindly, and still destabilizing your neighbors will not only, you won't always get away with it, because it can haunt you back. So if Congo now have a stable government in the near future and choose to revenge, it will continue this mess. So what I'm saying is, in conclusion, I want to point out that there has been a problem, like Philip said, Rwanda's involvement in Congo during the time of, I still keep forgetting, Kabila. Kabila was fully backed by Rwanda, it's a fact, and Uganda, and they overthrew Mobutu, because also Mobutu was helping their own rebels trying to overthrow them. It's a mess.
My brother, 2 points. Yeah. I've lived in those. I will have to make sure that our viewer understand that. What they are asking right now, M23, is to be able to be given access to recycle their own people, and then RDF to infiltrate our army. What you see as a weakness today is what we have entertained or allowed just out of our foolishness or our generosity. So we said this time, we cannot sit down on the table with you while you give us your own RDF, which is the Rwandan Defense Force, to infiltrate our army.
If I'm to ask you a question.
Let's get back to Philip. Philip, you still there, Philip. You a member of a UK Africa Diaspora Group. This is the hot topic now within African community. What are you discussing currently? What are the strategies that as an African diaspora here in the UK you're putting together to bring together, maybe to provide an advice, or maybe because Sano is a lobbyist for Great Lakes, that's Eastern African region. So what are the strategies that you putting in place?
Of African Diaspora Foundation Forum, today, just before the show, I did put the link that was sent to me in our group. Everybody is presenting their sorrow. They all want to help. We're now thinking how we can come to, because myself, I have family in Goma as we're talking. I have cousins, I have uncles, I have aunties in Goma. And I've been in Bukavu not long ago. I want to visit. So my family is I'm very much directly impacted as we're talking. So there are so many people in the African Diaspora Forum who are ready to see how they can help. So we're trying to see how to help. Coming back to my two brothers, Sano and Mohammed, I can see where the difference is coming from. Mohammed is looking at things as African, as a whole pan-African level. And Sano is looking as a Congolese person who has been affected. So we might not have the same way of looking at things. But in a war,
But what are your intake? What are your view with regard to the current situation as African and Congolese? What are your views?
Every single war, every war on the planet, it ends by talking. No war just ends like that. You're going to have to talk, you have to have a dialogue. Congolese president has not refused to talk. He said he's going to talk, but he's refusing to talk with the M23 because he thinks Rwanda is behind M23. And President Kagame, last time he was in Kenya, he waited to talk just after the Goma was taken. But Congolese president said he wasn't interested. He did
But
not.
the same line, Tshisekedi was in Luanda. I think that was 15th of December. But Kagame did not turn up because he has already planned his strategies to invade Goma. Is that the same thing, the same line?
What I think is these are two grown-up. They are two grown-up people. They are two leaders. They are leading countries that's where people are dying. So I think they should go above what the pride is. They should look at what people, how people are dying. Millions are dying. Them too need to go above and be beyond what they are targeting or done. Somehow find the common ground. Somehow find how to finish this. 30 years of war is too much. 10 to 12 million people have died is too much. Right now we're talking Goma had under 1 million people. Now we had 1.5 or 2 million people in Goma, small space. So and things haven't they haven't ended. So we need to find somehow how this ends, because you can't have UN Security Council just saying, "Oh, we condemn this, we condemn that," without acting. We cannot have European Union. Today they will go to condemn Rwanda or condemn Uganda, and the next day, they're giving money to these guys. So you cannot condemn somebody today and tomorrow you're helping him. The same people. So they need to get to be serious. Congolese government, as I say, you cannot even, well, if you go to dialogue, you go to talk, you have to see, are you in a weak or strong position? Congolese government need to see now, if they are in weak position, they need to see how to go back to have a strong position in before they can dialogue. Because if you go to have this dialogue, you're in a weaker position. I don't think this is the best way to do it. So maybe Congolese government is trying to see how to get in a very strong position and go into dialogue while they have things in their hands. I don't know. That's what I think. But somehow they will end.
The debate is a hot topic. I think Sano, Dr. Mo, they still have few to round up. They have an unfinished topic. I know this is ongoing. We will be having quite regular topics because we've seen globally in the mainstream media, Congo is in the headline. So AUK Radio will be bringing regular discussions around this issue. As Dr. Mo said, we need to contribute. As a platform, AUK Radio, we African, we need to bring conversation, discuss, provide our outlook or what people are thinking. Sano, do you have a last? You got 1 minute to round up.
Thank you very much, Junior. And as my brother said, Philip, I'm looking at it from the Congolese aspect because I've lived that war in 1996. So I know that we were once slave of Rwandans when they got into Kinshasa. And I know how they behave, and I know how many people they killed so that we can be their subordinate. We've lived it once, and this is a call to all Congolese. You cannot have the same mistake again of accepting those Congolese people that are footing at the front. As soon as they get into power or get into Kinshasa, they will use exactly the same thing. They will start misbehaving and putting you into slavery. So my final call is this. Now they've got Goma, or they have their surrounding Goma. It is two interests. They have the land where they can exploit minerals and give it to whoever is sending them and giving them the arm. And then another thing, I call upon the people who are in Goma still. Now that they have all the ammunition, they have the weapon, they will now enlist whoever they put captive. They've done it in 1996, 1997. They will enroll them back into their line, and then
they will recycle them.
They will recycle them and then pull them, give them weapon, and then start pushing them forward to go to Bukavu. I have
in the front line,
so that Congolese will start killing each other, and then the few M23 leaders will be there behind. And that's what they have done. So I'm calling upon all Congolese who are in Goma, those who are in Kinshasa, please, those who are in Kisangani, Lubumbashi, I'm calling you guys to stop their advance, because it is not for our own interest. We will kill each other and they will be having a laugh. And when they put you at the front, because that's what they did in 1997, they will put Congolese in front after a few weeks of training. They put them before to go and butcher their own brothers. And this is what we are trying to stop.
So
and
this similar scenario.
Thing and the similar and this is why they wanted to gain ground so that they can force us into negotiation. How can we negotiate after our generosity? How can we negotiate after they've taken Goma and have the weaponry to kill us? That cannot be allowed.
Dr. Mo, last round up. You go 1 minute.
Okay, I will start by responding to Sama and say, how can you end the war without negotiating? You cannot.
We will talk, but we have to do something.
I will start by calling on President Paul Kagame and President Tshisekedi and Ramaphosa and the other regional players and African heads. First, just take a breath of air and calm down. We need cool head. I can understand the emotion, but emotion cannot solve problem. The more you say you non-negotiate, the more you open door for militarization. That is the only two solutions. It's either diplomacy or war. And like I said, I love Congo, I love Congolese, but I'm saying it's not smart to fight a war in your land. This war is happening in Congo. Congolese are being displaced. Congolese are killed. There is no smartness in playing this war. Two is very clear. Congo is not strong right now. You don't have a strong country when somebody, a rebel, can occupy your land. You need to be smart. Because Congo has been the issue of Congo, like I said earlier. See, there is a lot of foreign intervention. Apart from African intervention, African countries, there are other international players. Be clear. The biggest one was Belgium. The thing is too complicated. So for me, my personal opinion is negotiate. Talk to M23, talk to M25, talk to anybody to stop the war. Because I will insist, it's fought in Congo. Congolese are displaced, Congolese are killed. No matter what happened, you are already losing. Freeze it. 1, 2. The issue of Congo, honestly, I'm happy people like you are Congolese origin. Solving Congo issue needs sophisticated, smart people. Because Congo problem is, solving Congo problem, the way I see it, is like solving problem in Roman Empire. Somebody will say, go and solve problem of Roman Empire or Persian Empire. Because that's how big and complex Congo is, from the population to the size of the territory. So it's a big issue that needs smart people, and Congolese in diaspora, everybody need to sit down and be thinking about this thing every day, thinking of solution. So that's what I'll wrap it, and then Africans as well.
Thank you.
Let me retaliate. Just 1 minute. 1 minute is we don't have we are not disagreeing. What I'm saying, while the talks are going on, but what I am calling our responsibility, because one is to call out what happened in the dark, when we are having humanitarian crisis. People are dying. Those people will not stop killing people overnight. They will want to rule by force. So it is good to make sure that when we're receiving statement from UK, we're having Donald Trump that does not want to talk. We're having EU who wants to make sure that they have hold of the region so that they can have a bargaining chip. Exactly what Rwandan president has done. He's taken Goma to have a bargaining chip. We accept that we are going to talk. But what my call to my brothers, it is our responsibility. We who have experienced war, we who have seen what Rwanda have done in 1996-97, after our generosity, we have to be organized. This is our responsibility. How can we expect help from others while we ourselves, we don't know that we need to stop that war by all costs?
Thank you. That's quite interesting topics, to be quite honest. I think I watched this week. I've been watching, following what's happening on the ground in Goma. Currently, RDF, which is Rwandan Defense Force, joined by M23, they declared that they're marching toward Bukavu. Bukavu is South Kivu province. So we rounding up. Sorry, Philip. We rounding up because we went extremely over time. Yeah, go ahead, Philip.
When there is a problem, you've already identified what the problem is. You identified who are the creator of the problem. Now you need to identify who are the people you need to see and who are people making decisions. And then from there, you will be able to end this what's happening. For now, everybody's saying not me, not me, not me. And there is no one coming forward exactly because you're saying, these guys are doing this, these ones are backing them. This I say, no, it's not me. Let's talk. We don't want to talk. So the war will keep going on. So what we're saying is the problem is being identified. People behind the problem has been identified. The decision makers, we know who they are. So why don't you solve this problem? That's what I was going to say.
Be listening to us to that debate. Is Congo at the center of Western interest in Africa? Very interesting. I think this is an ongoing discussion. We had that last week. Last week we talked about Lumumba legacy in Africa. One of the listeners even asked if Lumumba assassination is still hindering of Congo's progress, Congo development, and still we can see up to now. I think my guest, Sano, Dr. Mo, even Philip, our regular contributor, we highlighted that this conflict has been ongoing for the past 30 years and we need solution. Its solution is military, is diplomatically, is a negotiation between Congo government and the rebel group or between countries, Congo and Rwanda. And now even South Africa is playing a key role. South Africa, Ramaphosa made it clear that South Africa is not in conflict with Rwanda, but they want to help Congo to solve that issue, whatever they can. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to have my guests. We even went extra our time because of the hot topic in a current African crisis, which is in eastern part of Congo, where Rwanda's troops are invaded Goma. I mean, Rwanda backing M23. Thank you. We will catch up next time with another topic. Thank you. Bye-bye.